Welcome to the HFYTales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care. In the heart of the cosmos, on the vibrant planet of Teloria, vivid hues painted the skies with a beautiful palette of pastels, turquoise seas rippling beneath cotton candy clouds, and lush emerald forests framing glowing rivers that sparkled like precious jewels scattered across the landscape. Yet beneath this lush exterior lay a harsh reality. Teloria was a world on the brink of chaos, where freedom was but a whispered desire, and rebellion left corpses in its wake, victims of the oppressive regime that ruled with an iron fist. Zari, a spirited alien girl with sapphire skin that shimmered under the blazing light of twin suns, felt the oppressive weight of deep sorrow as she stood at the edge of the bustling market in Lianth, Teloria's grand capital city. The vibrant stalls filled with colorful trinkets and exotic fruits felt muted against her worries, dimming under the overwhelming storm clouds of despair that loomed over her heart. Today was a day of reckoning. Today she would be summoned before the council, a death sentence waiting to be fulfilled. As she navigated through the throng of citizens, whispers danced around her like shadows, suffocating and paralyzing her. Zari could hear the murmurings of dissent, stories of lives lost in the struggle against the Signians, Teloria's ruling regime, unforgiving and merciless. It had been months since she joined the resistance, spurred by the vivid memories of her family and friends who had been silenced for daring to challenge authority. Zari's heart ached for her brother, the last precious thread of her familial bond, lost to the heavy iron fist of this oppressive government. "What if they execute you?" her heart whispered, fear encircling her like a vice. Thick knots formed in her stomach as anxiety gnawed relentlessly at her resolve. Breathing deeply, she reminded herself of her commitment, her fight for freedom, and the sacrifices made by countless others who had come before her. In the midst of her turmoil, retrieving the small amulet her brother had given her long ago, Zari held it tightly in her hand. It was a small token, yet it represented hope and defiance, a radiant light against the encroaching darkness that threatened to engulf her. With fiery determination igniting her sapphire eyes, and with a fierce will stirring her spirit, she pushed through her fear. Today she would speak her truth without hesitation. Her voice would be a powerful weapon in the fight for freedom, resounding through the cosmos with the strength of her ancestors behind her. The air shimmered with tension as Rock stepped onto the surface of Teloria, blinking against the brilliance of the twin suns that blazed down upon him. He was a human, an outsider in an alien world, yet the air seemed rich with untapped potential. Being a space pilot brought its share of adventure, but lately each journey felt hollow, each star passing by like whispers of unfulfilled dreams echoing from the vastness of the universe. Rock wasn't here for grand explorations or interplanetary fame. He was searching for something deeper, something elusive, perhaps a measure of purpose after losing his sister to a tragic accident. A calamity that had left hollows in his heart he couldn't quite fill, leaving him drifting like a ship without a compass. The tale of rebellion had found him on a distant moon, and the moment he heard of the desperate situation on Teloria, a flicker of hope ignited within him. Perhaps he could finally make a difference in this tumultuous saga filled with pain and sorrow. As he made his way through the city of Lianth, Rock marveled at the artistry of the architecture. Glowing spires that reached toward the heavens and intricate sculptures showcasing Teloria's rich past, albeit now marred by the oppressive atmosphere of tension and fear. Wandering through the city, he approached a stall selling multicolored fruits. The vendor offered him a piece, gesturing eagerly, but the exchange was abruptly interrupted when a crowd began to huddle around a square, drawn by some unseen force. Curious yet slightly apprehensive, he moved closer, feeling the electric energy ripple through the crowd. In the center of the square stood a platform where Zari would soon appear, bound by chains forged from fear and injustice. Rock felt a magnetic pull toward her, as if gravity were binding him to her side. He caught a glimpse of the striking sapphire of her skin flickering amidst the stifled crowd, her expression a mixture of courage and despair. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, and Rock's heart raced with a mix of anger, empathy, and sadness. He felt compelled to stand against the layers of oppression that threatened to suffocate them all. As Zari began to speak, a passionate defiance coloring her voice, he saw the fire in her eyes, a light that captivated not only him but everyone around. In that defining moment, he recognized the power of her rebellion, the undeniable force pushing against the tide of tyranny. Rock vowed he wouldn't let her shine be snuffed out without a fight. Her spirit was too precious, too important to be extinguished in such a heartless manner. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, morphing into a cacophony of despair as Zari stood before the council, her fate precariously balanced in the hands of the very beings who had silenced her people. A stillness enveloped the square, thick as mist, as she locked eyes with the council leader, a figure draped in shadows, their judgmental gaze filled with cold contempt. "I am no traitor," Zari's voice rang out, shaky but resolute, each syllable vibrating with conviction. "I fight for those who cannot." But the council only scoffed at her dauntless defiance, summoning the guards to drag her away as if she were nothing more than a mere object to be disposed of. In that moment, something stirred deep within Rock. Ignoring every instinct telling him to remain hidden, he stepped forward, breaking the invisible barrier that held him back, propelled by a mix of fervor and desperation. "Stop!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the oppressive air, slicing away at the suffocating tension wrapping around the crowd. The council leader turned, narrowing their piercing gaze at the sudden intruder. "What do you think you can achieve, human?" he sneered, disdain practically dripping from his words as whispers of disbelief rippled through the citizens gathered. "I'm just a traveler," Rock replied, his voice firm as steel. "But I won't let you hurt her." There was no turning back now. Determination burned like an unquenchable fire within him, igniting a courage he hadn't known he possessed. The onlookers gasped in collective disbelief, their hearts collectively holding their breath, and Zari felt her own heart race, a sudden rush of exhilaration pushing fear aside momentarily. Could this human truly mean what he said? Did he see her, not merely as an alien under threat, but as a vibrant spirit worthy of being saved? Just then, as tensions escalated, guards surrounded Rock with menacing stares and weapons drawn, hostility flooding the air. "You think you can interfere?" one of the guards taunted, advancing toward him, their intentions dark like the gathering storm. Rock stood his ground, adrenaline coursing through him. "You can't keep her like this. She deserves her freedom." At that pivotal moment, Zari's heart soared. The passion radiating from him ignited something deep within her, an awareness that they were intertwined by their struggles, bound by a shared cause greater than their fears. They locked eyes one more time, an unspoken vow creating a bond between them as fate wound around their souls amid the chaos brewing in the square. After the intense confrontation at the square, the days passed in a blur of sneaking glances and stolen moments. Rock found himself returning to the secret hideaway in the depths of Lyanth's underground, where Zari had taken refuge after narrowly escaping the council's clutches. They gathered beneath glowing crystals that illuminated the cave, their shared sanctuary from a world filled with darkness and despair, a cocoon against the harsh realities encircling them. "Tell me about your world," Zari asked one evening, her curiosity bubbling over as they sat close together, the warmth of shared proximity creating an intimate atmosphere that felt comforting, yet invigorating. The shadows danced around them playfully, the gems above casting enchanting patterns across their faces, enhancing the beauty of their moment together. Rock leaned back, looking upwards, his thoughts tracing vivid memories of Earth. Earth is far away and strange in so many ways. It's crowded and chaotic, a dance of survival. "A lot of people are fighting to be heard amidst the tumult, just like here," he replied, his tone reflective as nostalgia washed over him. "But I left to find something more, something real among the chaos of my life." Zari studied him, intrigued, as she sought to unravel the layers behind his eyes. "And did you find it, or just more chaos than before?" He chuckled softly, the seriousness of his journey momentarily lifting. "A mix of both, I suppose. But then I found you." The way he said it made her heart skip a beat, A blush tinted her sapphire skin crimson, spilling warmth through her veins and igniting a longing she'd thought dormant. Their banter flowed easily, each moment highlighting their differences while unearthing shared burdens that weighed heavily on their hearts. Zari shared tales of her childhood, the vibrancy of her home before it succumbed to the Cygnian's iron grip, painting vivid pictures of laughter that now felt like a distant dream, haunting her. Grins enveloped their faces, laughter spiraling into a newfound connection, enriched by shared sorrow and joy, an unbreakable bridge forming between them. Yet amid the playful glances, the shadows of their realities crept back in, whispering doubt and echoes of despair. The council was relentless, and whispers of rebellion morphed into a palpable fear among the citizens of Tyloria, thickening the air like a fog that refused to lift. Zari's heart weighed heavy with the threat of losing everything, including the bond they were nurturing. "Zari, I want to help you," Rock said one evening, intense determination accentuating his features as they sat closely on a stone ledge, the world outside their sanctuary fading away in importance. "What if we find a way to expose the council, show the people they can fight back?" Zari smiled softly, an echo of hope fluttering in her chest like a small bird released from a cage. "But the risks—" She hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper, fear dancing on the edge of her heart. "What if they find us during the fight?" "Then we'll face them together," Rock replied, a burning conviction surging through his voice. "I'm here for you, in whatever way you need. I'll stand alongside you." That night, as the stars twinkled brightly above them, Zari reached for his hand, seeking comfort. "What if we can't win?" she asked quietly, the sobering weight of reality mixing with the warmth of his presence. "What if we're just giving them another opportunity for punishment, another chance for cruelty? When people fight back, they fight for good reason: family, love, freedom. We owe it to ourselves, and to those who have fallen before us," he whispered fiercely, his words resonating like a battle cry, igniting the fire within. Zari felt an unwavering bond form between them, more powerful than the chains that sought to bind her. "Then I won't back down either," she declared softly, her resolve shining brightly in the twilight, reflecting the determination budding between them. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows and golden rays over Tyloria, the tension in the air thickened like a fog that nestled in before a storm. Zari felt the weight of dread settle heavily in her chest, a chilling certainty that the council was tightening its grip, and escape was a fleeting dream slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. Panicked citizens filled the streets, murmurs of a planned execution circulating like wildfire among the gathered throng. Jaws were tight, and faces were pale as fearful whispers echoed, all too aware of the horrific implications. Zari could feel the council's dark shadow looming large, and she couldn't shake the feeling that today was the day they were set to make an example of her. "Zari, you must run. I can create a distraction," Rock urged one evening, desperation lacing his voice as they huddled together in their hidden sanctuary, the reality of their circumstances pressing down upon them like an oppressive weight. "But what about you?" Zari countered, determination flickering in her eyes, like a candle fighting against a harsh wind. She could already envision the disastrous repercussions of his choice. "They'll come after you. You have a chance to escape." Rock shook his head, frustration mounting within him. "I'm not about to let them—" "Let me decide," Zari interrupted, her voice rising with passion, desperation merging with fear. "I'm the one they want. I refuse to let you put yourself in danger for my sake, no matter how much I care for you." Tension hung thick in the air, crackling like electricity as each word landed with a heavy thud, a truth neither could escape, yet both sensed its significant weight. Days blurred into confusion and despair. The shadows of uncertainty lingered heavily over them like a dense fog, a heartbreaking struggle pushing them closer together while threatening to tear them apart. They were two passionate souls at a crossroads, bound by love yet driven by an urgency to escape their shared fate, hearts racing in synchronicity as their destinies intertwined. "Do you ever wonder if it's worth it?" Zari asked quietly one night as they sat amidst the shadows, grappling with the weight of their decision. fighting against a tide that seems impossible to overcome, where the costs could be our very lives? Rock turned to her, compassion flooding his eyes, those expressive pools of honesty. If we give up, we lose everything. I've lost too many people to the consequences of inaction already, he whispered, intensity sparking between them, weaving a thread of determination into the atmosphere. Her heart ached at his words. The raw honesty pricked open wounds within her, making her feel more vulnerable than she had ever admitted. But how do we keep going? What if it leads to death? I can't bear the thought of it. When people fight back, they fight for a reason: family, love, freedom. We owe it to ourselves and to those who have fallen before us. His voice throbbed with sincerity, drawing her closer still. Slowly, Zari felt an unwavering bond forge between them, a connection deeper than the chains that sought to bind her. Then I won't back down either, she said softly, each word heavy with newfound determination, her resolve reflected in his unwavering gaze. The fateful day had arrived, cloaked in ominous clouds that mirrored the tension brewing in the air. The council prepared to execute Zari in a public spectacle designed to crush the budding rebellion among the citizens. A crowd gathered, apprehension palpable, each face betraying fear and anxiety as they awaited this horrific display of power and cruelty, a grim formality meant to ensure obedience. Rock's heart raced as he crept closer to the platform erected for Zari's execution. He could feel the familiar thrill of adrenaline coursing through him, mingling with despair for the girl who had woven her way into his heart. He had no plan, just an overwhelming urge to intervene for the sake of her life, amplified by the weight of all that was at stake. Zari stood on the platform, shackled and defiant, her sapphire skin glowing ethereally under the harsh lights of the council. As she looked over the crowd, Rock caught her eye. There was fear mingling with fierce resolve, a fire igniting within her that told him she was not done fighting just yet, not even close. "Citizens of Tyloria!" the council leader's voice boomed, dripping with malice and condescension as he raised his arms to silence the gathering. "This is what happens to traitors. Today, we rid our planet of this infestation to restore order." His eyes darted to Zari, relishing the power he wielded over her fate, a cruel smile curving his lips. In that moment, Rock's heart thundered in his chest. Today would mark the turning point. If he didn't act now, Zari's brilliant light would be extinguished forever, snuffed out like a candle flickering in the harsh wind. His thoughts raced, fueled by an emotion that surged to break free, a love that defied the odds and refused to fade. "Stop!" Rock barked, pushing his way through the crowd, the tightness in his chest compelling him toward Zari, against the tide of fear wrapping around him. People gasped, shock rippling through them as he boldly stepped forward. "You can't do this!" The council leader turned, eyes narrowing at the handsome interloper challenging his authority. "What do you think you can achieve, human?" he sneered, the crowd's attention shifting to the pair, dread and curiosity mixing in the air around them like a tempest gathering for battle. "I know her. She's not a traitor, she's a hero," Rock shouted, his voice rising above the murmurs, each word driven by an unrelenting need for justice. "Killing her won't extinguish the spirit of rebellion. It will only intensify it. She'll inspire others to rise against you." The crowd stirred, a growing unease morphing into bursts of support as a ripple of mumbled agreements began swelling. Zari felt hope blurring with disbelief at his words, the rush of encouragement pushing back her fears momentarily. The council leader scoffed, turning to his guards. "Seize him!" he barked, authority tinged with fury. Panic rippled through Rock's stomach as guards closed in from all sides. Instinctively, he pushed against the surge, unwilling to back down, driven by an insatiable need to protect her. "You can't keep her prisoner for speaking the truth," he shouted. As guards bore down, Zari summoned every ounce of strength within her. "No, let him go," she cried, stepping forward as best she could, desperate to shield him even as her own life dangled on a knife's edge. Rock's heart soared at her defiance and her willingness to stand beside him. "Zari, I won't let them take you," he shouted, reaching for her, a fire igniting within him, fueled by unwavering love. "Let her go," he shouted again, fervor swelling in his chest. The crowd began to murmur, erupting in a chorus of cheers for rebellion against their oppressors, a torrent of solidarity rising, ready to challenge the council's iron grip. In the wave of chaos, a guard lunged at Zari, but in a blur of motion, Rock intercepted him, tackling the guard to the ground. Zari seized the moment, her heart racing, determination surging through her. "I'm coming!" she shouted, empowered by their shared resolve. As Rock engaged in a fierce struggle with more guards, Zari leaped onto the platform, adrenaline coursing through her veins and amplifying her resolve. She grasped the chains binding her with both hands, focusing her energy on breaking free from her restraints. Channeling her will, Zari took a breath and shouted, "These chains don't define me!" With a powerful surge of strength, she pulled. The chains buckled under her determination, and with one last effort, they shattered in a brilliant flash, the metal clattering to the ground around her like the remnants of her former fears. Gasps erupted from the crowd, all eyes fixated on this astonishing act of courage. Rock, awed by her bravery, turned to her, his eyes alive with fervor. "You did it!" he exclaimed, joy radiating from him, igniting hope amongst the crowd. "Now let's end this together," Zari declared as she grabbed a fallen staff from the platform, ready to stand side by side with him against their oppressors. As a newfound tide of courage surged through the citizens, igniting them to join the fray, they flooded toward the platform. The tension electrified the air as Zari and Rock stood before them, symbols of rebellion. Two souls entwined in a shared fate as they fought side by side, every ounce of energy dedicated to protecting their dreams of freedom. In that charged moment, they found an escape route, the tension swirling around them like a tempest. Zari and Rock sprinted through the chaos of the square, propelled by the fervor of the newly awakened crowd, ready to rise against their oppressors with the fervor of the stars aflame in their hearts. A chaotic escape from Lienth left both Zari and Rock breathless, their hearts colliding in a rush of adrenaline and emotions that warred within. They ran through the dimly lit alleys, the sounds of pursuit fading behind them, a cacophony of chaos vibrating within the heart of the city, echoing the relentless pounding of their hearts. Breathlessly, they steadied themselves in a hidden alcove, the weight of their narrow escape crashing over them like a tidal wave of relief. A sense of exhilaration coupled with the stark reality of their fight for survival. Zari leaned against the cool stone wall, her heart pounding, the beauty of the moment heightened by the throb of fear that still gripped her chest. "We did it," Rock breathed, disbelief etched into his features, a smile breaking across his handsome face. "We really did it." Zari turned toward him, disbelief giving way to joy, a bright smile lighting up her countenance. "For now," she replied softly, still shaken from the harrowing events of the day, uncertainty swirling around her heart. "I don't care what happens next," Rock chuckled, relief washing over him like cleansing rain after a long drought. "This time, we fight together. Whatever comes our way, we will face it head on." The determination in his eyes sparked hope within Zari, a feeling of possibility she hadn't dared to embrace in too long. However, the reality of their actions reverberated beneath their glowing hopes like distant thunder, echoing the uncertainty ahead. The council wouldn't rest easily. They were now marked fugitives in a city consumed by fears and whispers of rustling leaves that taunted their freedom, as if to remind them of what stood in their way. Zari's smile faltered as the weight of her past decisions settled over her like a heavy cloak, sending chills down her spine. "What if we can't win, Rock?" she whispered, remnants of grim betrayal echoing in her mind. "What if we're just giving them the opportunity to make an example of us?" Rock's heart ached for her sorrow, and he felt the heavy pull of fate weighing upon them both, a storm cloud ready to break. "Then we go down fearless, knowing we fought for something that matters. Together." Their eyes locked, conviction and shared understanding binding them in that moment, their resolve amplified by the challenges ahead. Days turned into nights, during which they crafted plans in their hidden sanctuary, shaping strategies that rallied the citizens of Tyloria, igniting flames of rebellion where the embers of hope once would have extinguished under the council's oppressive glare. Together they shared laughter over quiet dinners, moments that morphed into explorations of distant memories and dreams, rebuilding bridges that the Council sought to shatter. As time passed, doubts and fears began to intrude, testing the resolve they had built together. Each hushed whisper about the Council deepening the shadows that clung to their thoughts. Quiet moments, once peaceful, were now filled with lingering gazes that revealed their longing to explore one another's worlds and connect on a deeper level. Tension clung to the spaces between their hearts, weaving a tapestry of joy and sorrow intertwined. The night before their planned mobilization weighed heavily upon Zari's heart, hope clashing with dread and burdensome fears. She leaned against the soft glow of crystals in their alcove, quietly mulling over the words she longed to speak but hesitated to voice fully. "Rock," she called softly, summoning all her courage that coursed through her veins. He looked up, caught by the shimmer of worry dancing in her beautiful crystalline eyes. "If this doesn't go how we hope, I want you to know, you changed everything for me. You gave me hope when I thought it was lost forever." Rock approached, heart swelling at her words, the weight of their connection deepening with each passing moment. "I want you to know that I would run through a galaxy of storms for you. No matter what happens, I'll be here for you, always." His hand clasped hers tightly, grounding them both amidst the uncertainty, the promise woven between them in the darkened alcove filled with fading whispers of the heart, illuminating the path ahead. Days flowed like a river, their rebellion creating ripples across Tyloria, stirred by the courage and love sparked between Zari and Rock. Amidst the shadows of uncertainty, Zari and Rock's growing connection brought light, illuminating a path forward towards their collective dream of freedom, beckoning them like the dawn's first light. The final confrontation loomed large before them. The Council awaited their downfall with cruel anticipation. Embracing the unyielding courage they had cultivated, they mobilized every citizen willing to stand alongside them, gathering a formidable alliance that transcended the fear that had plagued the city for far too long. As the dawn broke, bathing the world in golden light, Zari stood side by side with Rock, facing the Council together, unwavering in their commitment. Together, they led their people, a fractured but resolute mass, ready to reclaim their world and the spirits that had been crushed beneath tyranny's heel. "Freedom belongs to everyone and to those who dare to dream," Zari declared, her voice echoing above the crowd, a rallying cry igniting the hearts of those assembled before her. "Together we fight for a tomorrow where justice reigns, where love and unity guide our way." And as the dust settled in Tyloria's skies, the echoes of joy and unity intertwined, carving a fresh chapter in their lives. Freedom was not simply the absence of chains. It was an everlasting promise, a commitment to uphold love and a righteous cause rooted firmly within strength and hope, fortified by all they had endured together. Together, they had forged their destiny on tumultuous soil, cracked by sorrow, yet enriched with the hope of tomorrow. Together, they found solace in one another amid the chaos. The scars of the past remained, etched deeply in their hearts. But with newfound purpose, Zari and Rock stepped bravely into a future where hope flourished amidst despair, leaving behind a world suffocated by darkness. With clasped hands they faced the stars, electric possibilities igniting before them. And in that moment, they knew. Love would always be their guiding light, no matter how vast the universe stretched ahead, no matter the storms they might still face. Together they would find their way home,